Where do I know you from?
I met you a few times. One for the sharing.
Okay, now I remember. Okay. What's your name?
Chris.
Chris, that's right. Okay, nice to see you. So today's topic is compassion. So this doesn't mean that I'm very compassionate or I'm full of compassion all the time. Because I'm not. I'm just like you probably, get angry and compassion sometimes. But I think I find the teachings on compassion very inspiring, and also I know the kind of importance of compassion. So that's what I'd like to share with you. So the topic is the importance of compassion. Basically, we can define compassion in another way is called altruism. Have you ever heard of this word, altruism? What does it mean, altruism?
Doing something good. Doing something good for no reason.
For no reason.
Except that, maybe for reason. Or maybe
yes.
just help another person.
That's right. It means to help others, or to be. Altruism means is to help others, or to be, or simply put, is the thought of others, thinking of others. This we call the altruistic intent. And what's the opposite of that? Yeah, selfishness, or thinking about ourselves. And so when you think of others, then there's many benefits. Maybe we can talk about some benefits of thinking of others, or altruistic mind. In Korea we say itashim. And then the drawbacks, or kind of the problems of thinking about only about oneself. And so we say in Buddhism that all of our problems in the world comes from thinking about our own happiness and our. So this is our kind of like our central habit. Our main habit is that we think about ourselves from the time we wake up in the morning until we go to bed, and we think about ourselves. How do we become happy? How do we become more healthy? How this kind of only thinking about oneself creates we say all of the problems in the world. And then what is the solution of this? What will be the solution of this kind of source of all the problems? What will be the solution?
Helping others actually become selfish.
Pardon?
By helping others, that's how we fulfill our selfishness.
How do you say? Are kind of wisely selfish? You mean like that, or?
Well, we realize that by helping others, we're actually
helping ourselves.
It's okay to be selfish. If the goal is to.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We can't help but want happiness for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. So you're right. The Dalai Lama calls this. His Holiness Dalai Lama calls this wise selfishness. So that's right. That's a very primary benefit of helping others. Is that when we help others, or we try to make others happy, what happens? We get happy. That's right. There's a saying that the best way to fulfill our own interest is to take care of others. And so we all want to be happy. We all want. So if we take care of others, then our happiness is kind of we get our own happiness without trying to look for our own happiness. We say we get our happiness as a byproduct of making others happy. So it's like, how do you say? It's like in Korea we say 1 + 1, 2 for 1, we say in English. Yeah. Okay. We don't kill birds, but generally. No, that's right. That's right. So it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right? It's so by helping others, or by fulfilling their happiness, by making others happy, then that's the primary way to become happy ourselves. And we don't have to seek our own happiness separately. On the other hand, if we look for our own happiness and we disregard others' happiness, then what happens? Even if we get some temporary gain or kind of, something, we don't get happiness. We get just the opposite of that. Stress or conflict or yes. So you've heard of this. You've heard of karma, right? Karma. Karma, simply put, is that if we do what is right, or if we do what is good, then this brings happiness. And if we do what is not pure or not good, we harm others, then this brings unhappiness. So in Buddhism we say the source of happiness is the virtuous actions or virtuous heart or pure heart, good heart we say in English, right? Good heart or warm heart. This is the source of happiness. So yes. So there's a saying in one of the scriptures. It's the way of the Bodhisattva. In this scripture, we say all the world's happiness comes from wanting others' happiness, and all of the world's suffering comes from only looking out for ourselves, basically. So even people who commit suicide, for example, how it begins with just a single thought, and then they become so self-absorbed, thinking about oneself, and then this causes eventually for them to take their own lives. And so it's just a kind of a preoccupation with the self, with oneself, and then it becomes out of control. So yes. So basically, the kind of the panacea or the cure. We're all looking for this kind of in the ancient times, like in India and maybe in Korea also. People were always looking for the wish-fulfilling jewel, or maybe in the West they were looking. This guy, he was looking for the fountain of youth. What's his name? Anyways,
a lot of people are.
A lot of people are. So we're all kind of looking for this something that's going to fulfill our lives, and that's going to bring fulfillment and happiness in our lives. And so this thing is the altruistic intent. This is what really makes our lives fulfilling. Is the thought of thinking of others, helping others. And even in science now they've discovered the way they can kind of measure happiness. There's a part of your brain that's associated with a sense of happiness and well-being. And the way to activate this portion of the brain is to have compassion. So when you have compassion, then this part of the brain that's kind of associated with happiness or associated with happiness, and then this part of the brain becomes very active. So now science has found a direct relationship with compassion and with happiness. So they are now scientists who do this research. They are convinced that the more compassionate a person is, then the happier a person is, and the less compassionate a person is, the less happy he is. And so, yes. So this kind of connection we have with others, this directly influences our own lives and our own happiness. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we have a special practice we call Lojong practice. Lojong. Anyone heard of that? Yes? Okay. Do you know what it means, or? Yeah, that's one practice. Yes. But basically, what this practice is, Lo means like mind, and then Jong means to train the mind. So basically, the way we think and the way we think is kind of like not necessarily is very beneficial for ourselves. Like the way we think about the world, and mind training is changing the way we think so that it brings benefit to ourselves and others, makes our mind more kind of pure and more altruistic, more thinking about others, and instead of our own selves, we don't need training about thinking about ourselves, right? or taking our own sides, for example. This is what we do when we have an argument, or we kind of think about our own perspective. So mind training deals with how to think about more about others, and we say that there's two aspects of mind training. One is the relative bodhicitta, now this word bodhicitta sounds very Buddhist, but it's very practical actually. Bodhicitta is so there's two bodhicittas. One is the relative bodhicitta, and then the ultimate bodhicitta deals with the wisdom aspect, and then the relative bodhicitta deals with the compassion and the altruism. So in Buddhism we have these two aspects of bodhicitta. Or you've ever heard of this word bodhicitta, or no? Bodhi means enlightenment, bodhi, and then chitta means mind. So it just means like enlightened mind, and it's talking about our true nature, because our true nature is the enlightened mind. So it basically it has two aspects. One is the wisdom aspect, and the other one is compassion. So yes, maybe we can talk a little bit more about the benefits of thinking of others. Can you think of any other benefits? If you have a more kind, more others-oriented mind, what other benefits do you think there are? What are the benefits of a compassionate heart, compassionate mind?
The ripple effect of doing good unto others, and then they realize how good it felt to them, and they pass because of the
That's right. Okay, very good. So yes, it has a very positive effect, and it changes people. And also, we say, yes, the best way to change people is not through telling them to change or telling them their faults, but rather to love them and to show them or to have compassion. This is really the best way to change others, and they themselves can change through that way. So if we want to change others, it's very difficult to change others by telling them to change, right? We all know that, right? And or trying to make them change by force. I think Korean parents, they try to do that, but they can't. That's not. But the way to change people is by loving them and by showing them compassion, by this example, and then they themselves can change. They will change automatically if we have compassion for others. That is the real kind of way to change others. And then also, when you show compassion to others, it's a win-win. The other person wins, and then we win also. Actually, if you show compassion to someone, sometimes they'll reject our compassion. For example, if I give, let's say, $1 to a beggar, maybe he feels too proud or something, and he may reject the offering. And in that case, he doesn't benefit really from my compassion, let's say. But the giver of the compassion, does he benefit or not?
Depends on the state of mind in which you give.
Yes. But with the compassionate state of mind, if you give with a compassionate state of mind, do you benefit or not, the giver?
For sure.
Yes.
As long as you don't get upset when it's rejected.
That's right. Right, exactly. Yes. If you get upset, then you don't have compassion anymore. So if you have compassion, the person that has compassion always benefits. This is the kind of like, you can't, even if the person you give compassion to or you show compassion to, that person doesn't accept your compassion, then as long as you maintain kind of the compassion, then the person who shows compassion always benefits.
Giving without expectation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, giving without expectation, just for their benefit. That's the essence of compassion. If you have expectation, then then the compassion also again is gone. So if you have to give for their benefit, so compassion has two aspects. In Korean we say ja-bi, right? So these are two different aspects of compassion, and maybe we can talk about that. So there's two aspects of compassion. One is the love or loving kindness, and the second one is we call compassion or like empathy. So the first aspect is called love. What does love mean? Do you know? What does it mean when you love someone? It means that you want that person's happiness, and so love means to want someone else's happiness. Like if you love your son, you want your son to be happy. And then the second aspect is the compassion aspect, which is you want that person to be free of suffering. And that's the compassion aspect. So we say ja and bi. So ja means to want the other person's happiness, and then bi is to want the person be free from suffering. So yes. 몇 시까지 하죠? 3시까지 하는 거예요? 네, 오케이. Yes. Any other benefits of compassion you can think of? As I said, compassion is the source of happiness. You cannot be happy without compassion, unfortunately. I wish you can be happy just by being selfish. That'd be much easier. But unfortunately, you can't be happy just by being selfish. But you can be miserable. So, as I said, if you have only through compassion, only through the thinking of others, can one be happy. And then just the opposite, if you think about only oneself, then this brings the kind of misery. And also compassion brings the good health. Good health. It brings it makes the energy flow better. It also benefits the meditation, brings the mind more calm, and it gives you everything good comes from compassion. For example, like courage. If you have compassion, you automatically have courage. And confidence, self-confidence. This thought of others brings that kind of self-confidence, and yes. And just the opposite. If you're concerned about yourself, why don't I have a job? Why don't I have a girlfriend? I'm the only one in the world, who doesn't have a job. Everyone else has a job. Everyone else has a boyfriend or girlfriend. Everyone else is good looking except me. So we all have kind of these kind of thoughts sometimes, don't we? Yeah. So these kind of thoughts, the thoughts themselves, it's not the things that we think are the source of unhappiness. It's not the not having the girlfriend. That's not the source of unhappiness. It's these thoughts themselves that cause the unhappiness. Yes. So the self-centeredness is the source of unhappiness. Yeah.
Does Lojong mean compassion for others or compassion for all beings?
Lojong is to train your mind, but it's through the compassion for all beings. In the training, we begin with ourselves, and then we begin with a loved one, and then stranger, and then our enemy, and then all beings like that. So
there's also such a thing as idiot compassion, where we have no compassion for ourselves,
yes,
and sacrifice our own health for others, which can be problematic as well.
Yeah, that's not what is meant by genuine compassion. Yeah. So that's a good point. Compassion doesn't mean I'm bad and then I try to serve everyone else. It's not like that. Compassion, actually, if you have genuine compassion, it is self-serving in the sense that it brings ourselves, it brings the comfort and happiness. So genuine compassion always brings oneself kind of stability and happiness. It's always a win-win, So, yeah. Yes?
I think a lot of people, most people would agree with what you're saying. Have experienced the feeling that altruism or compassion gives. And we acknowledge that it will make us happier, but what keeps us from making this habitual in our lives, in our way of life? Why is it so impermanent in our lives?
So it's because we have a habit. This habit deals with belief in a self. For example, you, Joel, you believe you exist kind of in a solitary, unitary way and exists apart from others. And we say in Buddhism this is the main kind of delusion or ignorance, is the belief in a self. Every one of us here, we believe, like Mr. Kim, you believe in Mr. Kim. If you look at a picture, for example, let's say we took a group photo, and then who's the person we look at? We look at ourselves, right? So we're kind of obsessed with ourselves. And this self-obsession, we say, is based on the ignorance. It's not, and then because we have a belief in the self, I believe, for example, in the Lojong or Yongsu, then this belief brings about what's called the self-cherishing. Means we try to look out just for the oneself. Like Mr. Kim takes care of Mr. Kim, and I, Yongsu, take care of Yongsu, and then anything that, for example, if someone tells the Yongsu, "Oh, you're very smart," then I'm very happy, because I identify with Yongsu. And then if someone says, "Oh, you're so stupid," Yongsu is stupid, then I'm very hurt and sad. So this identification with the self, and only with one person. We don't identify with all sentient beings, which fundamentally we're the same, and so this this identifying with just one person brings all our habits, and because of our habits, because of this self-cherishing, then the self-cherishing creates this mind which is not so pure, and we have some kind of, this creates our habits. So we have these habits, and because of these habits, and we're not happy. But mind training deals with changing our habits to bring habits of happiness. And the habits of happiness is to think of others on one level, and then to understand the nature of self, nature of reality. Nature of self is that we don't really exist independently, and we don't exist forever, for example. And then we have this idea, we think we're the same person we were yesterday and tomorrow, and that we exist forever. So these two aspects. One is the cherishing others. That's the one aspect of mind training. And the second aspect is to understand the nature of the self and the nature of reality. In other words, that's we're talking about the ultimate nature. By understanding this, then also this helps break this tight clinging and tight kind of strong identification and a kind of obsession with the self. So I worked at this Joge order for a little while, and in this office, people that work at the office, at their desk, guess who they had pictures of who, do you think? They had pictures of themselves, of their own picture on the desk, So I think this, but in the world that's not so surprising or abnormal. For example, I have a college friend, a high school friend. He was my best friend in high school. I went to his house, and in his living room, there was a huge picture with beautiful frame, and guess who the picture of was? It was his family and himself. They put a big picture of himself on the, that's according to, from now I understand Buddhism and a little bit more. From a Buddhist perspective, that's very strange, or not, because it's like we have a obsession with ourselves. So, I mean, if you were to, let's say you had some girl, you liked some girl, let's say, or man, I don't know. And you're thinking about this girl all the time, and you had her picture on your wall, and what would you be called? Then we have a name for these kind of people, right? What are these people called? Obsessive. What are they called? Stalkers. Stalkers. Stalker, you know. Yes. So, but actually we have someone we are obsessed with. We have our picture, we look at their picture all the time. We are obsessed with somebody, and we're obsessed with our own self. So we're all kind of stalkers in a way. But this obsession, the good thing is that this obsession, everybody has this obsession. So it's considered normal. Otherwise, it's a very, according to Buddhism, it's a very unhealthy obsession. According to Buddhism, it brings all the problems, and we need to be treated, basically, just like a stalker needs to be treated. And all of us have this problem, and the treatment is through the compassion, thinking more about others, and then to understand the second one is to understand the nature of self, the nature of reality. So these two ways are the treatment. We say compassion, chabi, and then the other one is jihe. Jihe means wisdom. Wisdom means to understand. Wisdom doesn't mean to be smart. It just means to be. It's talking about to understand that this life is how this life is in reality, and how the self is in reality. When we say emptiness, self is not doesn't exist in the way we think it exists. So through these two ways, this we call mind training, and then yeah. So now, yeah.
Okay, just to our friends had a really good episode about BD and Joey. Did you see that one? Where she wanted to do something really altruistic,
Mm-hmm.
but she was getting happiness from doing it. And Joey said, "No, it's not really altruistic if you're getting happy." So she let a bee sting her, and she called Joey. She says, "Joey, I did something altruistic today. I let a bee sting me, and I knew that's what he wanted me to do." Says, "Yes, but you let the bee sting you. Now the bee died, because that's what happens." You can Google it.
So you have
Good episode.
okay.
Okay, but the other one is do you know about Ayn Rand?
No.
Ayn Rand?
No. What is it?
Ayn Rand. Nobody knows her.
Tea
Who
Party.
knows Ayn Rand?
The one with the tea
It must be a recent show, recent something. No?
Yeah, the Fountainhead and the Atmosphere.
No, Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't want to mix in politics.
Yes.
And only doing selfish things and looking out for yourself and
Yes.
thinking that you can't help others unless you help yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of feeling.
Yes. Yeah. I mean.
I wonder where she might fit into the.
She doesn't.
the speed.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
was going to ask you, how do you be compassionate to anyone unless you start yourself?
Of course, that's right. It's not, yeah, you can't, please don't misunderstand. It's not about neglecting oneself. And it's not about, in itself, actually, we say the best the best way to help others is to help yourself. So if we become ourselves kind of stable and more compassionate, this in itself helps others, and then we become there's more methods to help others. So, but
Her
yeah.
other big thing of hers is, which feels to me is the idea not to feel guilty and not let other people make you feel guilty.
Mhm.
She's really big on that.
Yes.
Maybe from her upbringing.
Yes.
Whatever. But no, she gets very political with that.
Yes.
But what drives me nuts is she's a materialist,
Mm-hmm.
and materialists drive me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And her idea is, well, she's really agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
She just says, we don't know we only know what we know, what we
Mhm.
can see, or
Mhm.
in other words, we don't know if there's a God or not.
Mhm,
Unless
mhm.
you want to ask anybody,
Mhm,
et
mhm.
cetera, et cetera. Like this.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know what you can know through your senses.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm just curious what your thoughts might be on that, but I'm surprised that you didn't know Ayn Rand.
No. Yeah.
It's a little bit depressing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I have some people that are really heavily into Ayn Rand. And,
Right.
they can be very militant,
Mhm.
but they have good points.
Mhm.
You know, they have some good points.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, but yes. Anyway, as I said, as I mentioned, I don't know this person's philosophy so well, but it's important to, of course, for example, like guilt. Guilt is not good, but it doesn't mean you can't be extreme. For example, you can't just say everything's okay and I'm okay, I love myself, and I can act however I want, I still love myself. You know, this is not right. You know, I can steal or hate someone and I still love myself. This is kind of not. This is extreme. So if you do something wrong and you think about it in the past and then you kind of like hate yourself, and this is not good either. This is also the other extreme, right? So the middle way is what we recommend, and that is to, if you do something wrong, then try not to do it in the future. You know, make it future oriented. His Holiness Dalai Lama says, if you are past oriented, then that's guilt, right? And then if you are future oriented, that's determination. So that determination is very important. If we do something wrong, then you should acknowledge and kind of determine not to do it again. That way we can change, become more pure. But of course, if you do something wrong and then you beat yourself up, that's no good. You know, oh, I'm so bad. You know, this. But if you think about, okay, I did something wrong, and this is a habit. Maybe I can talk a little bit about how to change our habit, because we all have habits, right? I was going to talk about the 8 verses, but maybe we won't get time. But so we're all like bundles of habits, are we not? We're just we're just habits. That's what we are, and we have lots of bad habits. I have bad habits. For example, I have a habit of being lazy. That's a habit. Everything's a habit. Giving this, and then if we are lazy, do we feel good? When we indulge our bad habits, do we feel good? Temporarily. I'm not talking about pleasure. I'm talking about, do you have like peace of mind? You know, temporarily. That's not really. I don't know. That might be like more what we call like a pleasurable experience. You know, to indulge our habit brings some pleasure, and but if you look on the long run, it brings more unhappiness, because this is how habits operate. Temporarily, it may bring some release or some kind of pleasure, but then what happens is we have to seek that pleasure, and we repeat the process. And during the process, this whole process is what we call, in Buddhism we call it suffering or dissatisfactory life. So how do we become a little bit more free of our habits, and how do we deal with our habits? And that is to first we have to know very, very kind of clearly what is the good habit and what is the bad habit. Some people, they don't know that. The people you don't. You have to learn through the understanding the truth and understanding reality. We call it dharma in Buddhism, but
I sometimes use the word wholesome and unwholesome.
Okay.
Because to me, good and bad seems very absolute. Wholesome to me, the way I interpret it nowadays, is taking in the bigger picture, the whole of all. And unwholesome is very narrow.
Yes.
So very narrow focus.
Yes, that's good. That's very good. That's very good.
What's good and bad?
That's good. That's good. Another way, that's right, wholesome or unwholesome, that's right. That's a good way to phrase it. Another way we can think about it is like beneficial or unbeneficial. I mean, yes. So these bad habits we have, they don't bring benefit. They bring more dissatisfaction, a temporary pleasure, but in the long run, it brings more dissatisfaction. This basic dissatisfaction we have in life, it increases this basic dissatisfaction. So the way to deal with habits is the habits cannot. Can the habits be overcome in one day, or some habits? Yeah, some habits you can overcome. Some weaker habits, but the habits that we have cultivated over many years or even according to Buddhism, many lifetimes, then these habits, it takes much longer. You want to do these? Okay, we can do these. We have only until 3 o'clock, or?
No.
Okay.
We have another 1 hour.
Another 1 hour? Wow. Okay, then we can do these. These are the essence. These are the essence of mind training. We say the mind training in 8 verses, and basically these verses they're very practical, for everyday life, especially for in our modern life. All of us, we face many kind of challenges and conflicts with others, and things that bring you kind of, discomfort and conflicts, like in the heart, conflicts and suffering. And so these are these 8 verses of mind training. They're very practical. They can be applied to our everyday life. So let's read the first one. Maybe we read together. Okay, we can read together. Wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings who excel even the wish-fulfilling jewel, may I cherish them all. I think it says originally, it says, may I constantly cherish them all. May I cherish them all always. So this, now it says wishing to attain enlightenment. Now enlightenment, if you're a Buddhist, that's you believe in enlightenment, but maybe some of you are not Buddhist, I don't know. This just means the highest goal as a human being. And the highest goal, we say in Buddhism, is enlightenment. And enlightenment is kind of like the ultimate happiness. It's the kind of fulfillment of our potential is what enlightenment is. So do we all want that? Sure. We all want that. We all want this. We all want to realize our full potential as a human being, not only as a human being, but as a divine kind of a divine being, not a material being, but the divine being. We're all kind of divine, yes. Yoda from Star Wars, he said that. He said, what did he say exactly? He said, luminous beings are we, not this, something like that, material something or something. Not this kind of material beings. We're not material beings, except Madonna. But she's just kidding. Sorry. We're not really. We're actually like non-material beings, right? We're like I don't know if divine being is such a good word. What's another? Anyway, we have the potential to like become enlightened and fully accomplish our potential. So we say wishing to attain enlightenment means the highest goal. The highest goal is ultimate goal, right? That's the ultimate goal we have. And for this, and then it says for the sake of all sentient beings. And then it says who excel even the wish-fulfilling jewel. So the sentient beings, they're more, more valuable than the wish-fulfilling jewel. Wish-fulfilling jewel is like the genie. The genie in the bottle. If you have the genie in the bottle, then the genie gives you whatever you want, right? You rub the the bottle, and then, not the bottle, lamp. You rub the lamp, and then the genie comes and tells you, hey, what would you like? I'd like to get a lot of money, I'd like to get, big fame or power or whatever. So it's even more valuable than the wish-fulfilling jewel. Others, we say, sentient beings. Why? Why is because on a relative level, we cannot do anything without others, I cannot come here without others, we cannot live without others' kind of kindness. Nothing can be done just by ourselves. So we rely on others so much, like that hat you're wearing. That hat, it took so many people's energy and time and effort and dedication, and that for you to wear that hat, no? So there's nothing we have or we can do without others. So the others' kindness is tremendous, and that's on a relative level. For the gaining the ultimate goal, for example, to gain enlightenment, then we also need others, because in order to gain enlightenment, we have to practice the 6 paramitas, we call it. That's like generosity. How can you practice generosity if you don't have others? Patience and so forth, diligence. So, and especially bodhicitta. You cannot practice compassion or bodhicitta or altruism without others. And then you cannot practice patience, which we need to develop patience without others, without actually someone who is hurting you or making you feel, without someone hurting you, then you cannot practice patience. So this kind of way to think about the value of others, that's why they are more valuable than the wish-fulfilling jewel. So wishing to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings who excel even the wish-fulfilling jewel, may I constantly cherish them all. That means may I always consider others and kind of take care of others, take care of whoever it is, because they are very valuable, yes. Okay, second one. Do you have any questions about the first one? Do you understand? It just shows the value of others, this first one. And the second one, maybe we read the second one together, okay? Whenever I am with others, may I consider myself least important, and from the depth of my heart, cherish all and hold them supreme. So in this verse, in general, who likes someone who has the biggest ego, kind of, in the room, you know, and kind of is self-important, and who likes that person? Anybody? No, we don't like that person generally, and but that person generally is not so popular. But the person who thinks about others, who takes care of others, this person is kind of considered. Everybody likes this person, and this kind of person, everyone kind of respects and kind of has this good feelings toward that person. So it's kind of like this kind of shows you the way to behave. We'll do the second verse, and then we'll do a little bit of meditation, and then third verse, like that, maybe like that. So second verse, this is a very important verse, because what it shows you is it shows you how to act when you're with others. This means when you are in the classic example is the newly-wedded bride. You know, newly-wedded bride. You know how she acts to please the new parents. Do you know how she acts? Huh? Yeah. So we should act like that. How does she act?
Always serving.
Always serving. Polite. Bowing. Humble. Yes. That's a good way to remember how to act. Why? Why is it good to act like that? One, people like you. People appreciate someone who is that way, polite and kind. And two, it's a way to fulfill our own benefit. For example, if I'm in the company and I want to do business with Mr. Kim, and I go to Mr. Kim and I say, I'm very proud, and hey, Kim, how's it going? You know, like, so you should do business with me, or else you're going to lose out. You know, or if I'm very proud and arrogant, then how will Mr. Kim feel? Is he going to want to do business with me? Probably not. But if I'm very humble and very respectful, like a newly-wedded bride, and I bow and I say, oh, Mr. Kim, so nice to meet you, kind of warm, and what can I do for you? Please sit down. Then Mr. Kim, maybe he wants to do business with me. So on a practical level, it's very helpful to be like that. So in the way of the Bodhisattva, this text, this classic Lojong text, it says, don't let ourselves be proud and arrogant, strutting about, you know, proud and arrogant, but let this ego, let this self be shy, timorous, and like a demure, like a newly-wedded bride. So this is very practical, you know. Before I knew this, didn't know how. I was probably a little bit like proud and, you know. But now I learned this. This helps me a lot when how to behave. It's very practical. So like with even if you're a teacher or whatever you do in your profession, if you act in this way, this does not make you weak or make you, you know, how do you say, pushover, or this just makes you more accessible. Huh?
It's going to be the generous heart.
More generous and more close with others. Yes.
There's a difference in humility and weakness, and also confidence and arrogance.
Yes.
You can be confident and
Yes.
humble at the same time.
That's right.
Confident and generous.
That's right. They go in hand actually. So the people who are usually arrogant, they're not confident. They lack confidence, so they have to put on an air. Anyway, this also talks about when you're with others, we generally consider ourselves the most important. for example, if there was a free, they were giving out free gifts, let's say free, I don't know, free tok, this rice cake. They was giving out free tok and free rice cake, right? And then there was one left, and then so Mr. Kim and I, we have one, everybody else got one, and then there's only one piece of rice cake, and then I want, and then Mr. Kim wants, and then, but I think to myself, no, I should maybe give to him. I think of others, I consider him more important than myself. Then actually, this brings immediate benefit. How do you say? It makes you release the kind of attachment. We have attachment, or we have greed. This is kind of a antidote to the greed. And then, or if you, like for example, if you go out to eat, and then sometimes you have something delicious to eat, and then you really have this greed, this greed to want to eat the delicious food, and you're kind of competing with others to see who will eat more or something like this. Have you ever had that? So we all have that, right? And so the best way to overcome this greed is to give to others. Think of others. Oh, think about how nice it's others. If others have this food, then immediately our greed we don't have anymore, and we can eat less and maybe be more healthy also. So this brings automatic benefit. So it's the thought of others that really brings the relative benefit and ultimate benefit. There's one story about a great Tibetan master, and wherever he went, he had disciples, and then if there was a kind of a uncomfortable bed, he would take the most uncomfortable bed, and he would give the most comfortable beds to his disciples. And then also if there was food, he would always give the others all the good food, and then he would take the worst food for himself. And so he was like that. He was always very considerate of thinking of others. He cared for others like a mother would care for her children. And so if you have this kind of attitude, then you're very comfortable, very at peace, and you don't need so many things, You don't need the comfortable bed, you don't need the good food, you don't need all these things, because you have the kind of peace of mind. And so that's the second verse. Now maybe we do a little meditation, because I can tell it's not so easy to listen for a long time. So, but I really appreciate you trying to listen. Thank you so much. And maybe we can do a little meditation together. For meditation posture, the most important thing is what? Do you remember? Right? That's right. Yeah. The straighten your back. And then second is to relax your body. So please, please relax the body and just and during our meditation, try not to follow our thinking so much, because you have to kind of promise yourself during the meditation that no matter how important you think it is to think about something, you have to let it go. So our habit is to think and think and think, and meditation is to let go of the thinking. So please relax and take a deep breath trying to fill your belly first, and then the rest of your body like a balloon, and then just naturally breathe out. put your attention on your body and see if there's any kind of tension in your body. And simply by noticing the tension, you become more relaxed. Sometimes we have tension in our shoulders, so relax the shoulders, relax the head. We sometimes hold tension in our heads, in our eyes, relax the eyes. How do you relax the eyes? Just by putting your attention on the eyes. And then relax your teeth. Oftentimes we hold tension in our teeth. So put our attention on our teeth, our jaw. And take another deep, slow breath in. And then very naturally breathe out. Now bring the thought may I be happy in this life. May my life be fulfilling. And what is the source of fulfillment and happiness? It is the good heart. So bring the thought, may I be able to have a good heart, cultivate the good heart. May I be able to bring meaning to this life, to my life. May I be able to purify the bad habits and become a more pure person, which is the source of happiness. And may I in turn bring happiness to those around me. May I not indulge in the self-obsessive thoughts, which is the source of suffering. And may I think of others and try to be of encouragement to others, to be of benefit to others. And may I cultivate the thought of others, which is the source of all happiness and all goodness. Once again, take a deep breath in starting with your belly, and then filling your body like a balloon, and then breathe out very naturally. Whenever I'm with others, may I consider others more important and do all I can to encourage others, to bring others happiness and to fulfill the others' happiness, which in turn is the source of my own happiness. Okay, so please slowly open your eyes. Just to learn about the compassion, this has some change in our life, you know. This brings a more kind of... they did a study in the West with the children in school, I think elementary school children, 10 weeks, and 3 times a week they did 30 minutes of compassion meditation. And before the test, they told... they gave them envelopes. With envelope the picture of their best friend. One is the person they liked, the person they least liked in the class. Best friend and the person that they liked least. And then third person's a stranger, and then fourth is a sick child. So they had these 4 envelopes to put stickers. And they were given these stickers. And before the test, who would they give the sticker to the most, you think? Most of their stickers to? The children. Best friend. That's right. They gave all their stickers, almost all their stickers to the best friend. Before the 10 weeks of compassion training. They're just kids, right? I can't remember how old, like very young kids. And then they were trained in 10 weeks on this kind of like compassion, but simple things. Not like they're kids, right? They can't learn so much. So it's very simple meditation, like we are one. I mean, like all the children, they feel happiness and suffering. They all want happiness. Very simple things. You know, things I talked about like today, like a little bit like what I'm talking about. And after 10 weeks, then they were also given the same stickers. What do you think happened? Huh? They gave it to the sick kid. Actually, they gave it to each person pretty much equally. To their best friend and to the person they liked least. The person they didn't like at all, they also gave stickers to. They're about the same as their best friend. And then the sick kid and then the person they didn't know. So it's like somewhat similar. So this is this shows the effects of compassion meditation. is that we start to treat others no matter, not based on how they treat us, but based on the fact that they're human beings and they deserve happiness. Each person, whether they are our best friends or they are not friends with us, even our enemies, you know. So we begin to have a different perspective on the world, and that's what mind training does. I think if we can understand mind training even a little bit, this has a really this can have a very positive influence on our lives. It's very, very practical, this mind training. Okay, let's look at the third one. Read together, we can read together. In all activities, let's read together, sorry. In all activities, may I examine my mind, and as soon as conflicting emotions arise, endangering myself and others, may I firmly face and avert them. So this is talking about trying to maintain the good heart. Why? Is because the not so good heart, or the kind of like egotistical or not egotistical but self-centered thinking, this causes problems in our lives and conflicts, and so we try as much as possible, we as practitioners, we try to as much as possible to maintain the pure heart or good heart. We try to maintain it as much as possible, and the way you can do that is that when this kind of self-centered thought arises, we say conflicting emotions. This means like generally means like hatred, anger, attachment, jealousy, and pride. So when these emotions arise, when they first arise, they're easy to take care of. But if we make them, if we add on to them, for example, let's say, what's a good example? Let's say, so I have a conflict with, let's say, Mr. Park. Okay, so I have conflict with Mr. Park, just something we have argument, and then at this time it's kind of easy to handle, to make it's not good to have argument. I should think about Mr. Park, you know, and then maybe try to say sorry, Mr. Park, and be genuine, you know. Of course, I'm not saying, you know, you have to be genuine, right? You have to really try to understand each other, and even if you have conflict. At that time, it's easy to resolve the conflict. But let's say we have argument, and then I stick to my view, and Mr. Park sticks to his view, and then I go home, and then I tell, you know, actually, you tell your friends, let's say, you tell your friend, oh, Mr. Park, he's such a bad person, we had this conflict, and then what do your friends do? They agree with you, right? So this it increases your problem by talking about it with others, you know. We think this some kind of helps, but actually this makes the problem worse. Because what happens now is that your view of Mr. Park, not only do you think like that, but you have proof that Mr. Park is a bad person, because your friend also thinks like that, right? Your friend agrees with you. So now you have much more stronger, more kind of solid or 굳어진, 영어로 뭐라고 하죠? Like,
Deeply rooted.
Yeah, it becomes more deeply rooted. Yeah, like more. Huh? Strengthens. Yeah, it's strengthened. So you strengthen your hatred toward Mr. Park by telling others. You know, we try to convince others how bad Mr. Park is, right? Have we done this or not? We've all done this, right? And then what happens? You see Mr. Park again, then what happens? It's much more difficult to forgive him and to make a good relationship with him. And sometimes this we take to the grave, you know. We die and we hate Mr. Park. How terrible is that? But this happens all the time. We all have people we have disagreements with, But what has happened, why we have this such strong disagreement and conflict, is because we ourselves have made this conflict much very difficult to deal with. By talking about it with others, by kind of, but the point is, before it becomes more solid or more stronger, when it is just in the beginning, the conflict is just beginning, then if you can resolve it, then it's much easier to resolve, you know. But if we become conflict, and then let's say I do something bad to Mr. Park, let's say I scratch his car, then what happens with Mr. Park? He's very angry. Now he has to do something to me. You know, we've seen the gangster movies, right? It's like you have to kill someone, and then you have to kill 2 more people, and then you have to kill 4 people here. Then pretty much it's like, then you have a war, and it's like, it's just out of control. This happens within our relationships also. We don't kill people, but we become very obsessed by how bad this person is and how we are right, and then this causes what does this happen? We lose our sleep, we lose our friends, many bad things happen. So the point here of this verse is, as soon as conflicting emotions arise, then it's easy to deal with. Like a little spark of fire, it's very easy to put out. But then what happens if you leave it? That's right, you have a forest fire. Then it's completely out of control. So if we let the problem, conflicts, if we just leave it or let it go, or we think about the problem, or we think about how bad the person is, these kind of thoughts, they bring this problem in our lives. You know, so before they become very strong, then we have, when they are not so strong, we can handle it. But when they become very strong, very difficult to deal with that. So the point of this is try to maintain the kind of pure heart as much as possible and good relationships with everybody quickly, you know. Like, don't let it go. Step 2, tell your friends. Step 3, have more arguments with that Mr. Park, you know, this kind of thing. Or step 4, I mean, the first step is we think about it. We think about how bad Mr. Park is, right? Oh, he's so bad. I can't believe he did this. I'm such a good person. we have these kind of thoughts, right? So before they become like this, we should try to handle it. And then it's very easy to deal with.
And this can be even conflicting emotions within ourselves.
Of course.
This is a lesson that I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I need to focus on myself. And it's that trick, as soon as that disturbance begins to arise.
That's right.
Personally, I'm working on something. It could be as simple as I have a project to work on, and I feel the urge to check the internet.
Yes.
So next thing you know, I'm checking the internet, and then I'm lost. Then hours on
that's
the
right.
internet.
If
I can just notice when that urge comes up,
that's right.
then at that moment, do something to avert it before I'm so caught in.
That's right.
And that can be in relationship with others.
That's right.
In any activity.
That's very good point.
Sensitive to that.
That's very good point.
Disturbance arises.
That's very good point. So that's the whole point, is to when it first begins, is you can handle it. But otherwise, if you let it go, or if you just keep making it more stronger, then it's very difficult to handle. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question, but this seems good on a personal level. How to deal with personal relationships, but how do you do it on a larger level, society? How do you resolve conflicts on a national level?
Yeah.
International.
So did you understand the question? How do you resolve problems on an international level or national level? Yes.
Every country has some issues and
Yes.
contention.
Yes. According to sociologists, the way to make this is not according to Buddhism, but according to sociologists, the way to change the world is to actually to change yourself. In other words, you become more compassionate yourself, altruistic yourself, and then this has the effect of making others better. And let's say our group here, we all become, let's say here, how many of us? 10 or something? We become very, very altruistic or compassionate. Then this has some influence on Dongwon University. And maybe in Dongwon University you have like half the students becoming more altruistic, more enlightened. Then if you have a certain number within Dongwon University, let's say 35% of Dongwon University becomes very compassionate or very enlightened or wise, then will that have an influence on Dongwon University? Of course. If it's 3 or 4 people who are just compassionate, then it's very difficult. But it starts with one person, ourselves. And then when you have a majority, let's say, of a society wanting to change something or wanting to become, then it happens. Then it happens. You cannot do it with just one person. So it all begins with ourselves, and then this is what sociologists say. And this is what causes the evolution of a society or a community or a culture, and the change of a culture. So this, if we want to change, what is the dong here? Dong. 무슨 동이죠 여기?
필동.
Huh? 필동? It's 필동? Okay. So if you want to change 필동, then in the 필동 you have to have enough people changing, or enough people to arouse this change. And then Piltong itself will become better, or even worse. I mean, if enough people become like worse, then of course Piltong will become worse. So this is how to bring about change.
I saw a brilliant talk and video on TED Talks, and how to start a movement.
By whom? Who is the talk? Who is the speaker?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I think the name. Brian.
Okay.
I think it's called How to Start a Movement. And it was about these kids. They're all sitting on the lawn. I guess it's a concert or something, like an outdoor concert, or maybe they're just sitting on this beautiful outdoor thing. And then said, first of all, it starts with one. And so you have this one guy just jumping up and dancing by himself, all crazy and funny, and everyone's kind of looking at this guy like he's kind of strange. And said, then now we just have one. He's just a crazy person. Then it takes all it takes is one other person to join that person, and now you've started a movement. So now one other person joins in with that person, and then people begin to feel that there's permission to then join in the movement.
Right.
And then,
That's right.
then another person joins, and then suddenly you've opened the door, and the people are able to make a shift.
That's right.
So
That's right.
starting with ourselves,
That's right.
having the courage and the bravery
That's right.
to be more compassionate.
That's right. That's right.
Enlightened.
That's right.
Say that, but a more compassionate.
That's right.
Thoughtful person.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, if one person in this room becomes more compassionate, then this whole room becomes more compassionate. By adding a good drop of, let's say, pure water to dirty water, that whole pool becomes more pure, a little bit, like that kind of philosophy. Okay. Now, any questions or comments? So the main point is, the third verse is try to maintain as you say, the wholesome mind. That's a very good, I like that word, is the wholesome mind. Try to maintain the wholesome mind, pure mind. Yeah.
My problem I run into with this is that when I recognize that I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling hurt because of things outside of me that are happening in the world, and I tell myself, stay focused in the moment and find happiness in the moment, the next level of my mind kicks in and says, no, you're just being ignorant by ignoring the folly of the world, or ignoring the things that you could be actively changing, instead of my mind tells myself that those cyclical thoughts of panic or anxiety are good because they're calling me to action. And if I'm just being temporarily happy that I'm ignoring something I should be paying attention to. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I don't know. It goes hand in hand. As a person becomes more enlightened, then a person becomes automatically more compassionate and automatically able to help others. I think if you try to help others without having yourself be having more stability, then sometimes that you cannot do much in helping others. But if you become yourself more stable, then automatically you can help others. So it goes hand in hand, I think. You don't have to be in a rush too much. Just I think the main thing is to learn how to change ourselves, learn the principles of self-change, and Buddhism is very good for that, because that's all Buddhism is about. It's about the mind, the science of the mind, and how the mind works, and how you can make the mind a very good ally, and by doing so you can help others. Of course, if you yourself are stable and good and confident, just by being that in itself, you help others. Yes. Does that answer your question, or kind of? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So. Thank you. I don't know exactly what that means.
It means I may not feel like I'm perfect. I may not feel like I could help anybody in some moments. But it's time to just do it.
Yes.
If I'm not doing damage.
That's right. Of course. I mean, we have to do the best we can. Yes, that's right. This is a very good point. This is a very good point. It doesn't mean you should sit on your, whatever. It doesn't mean you should be complacent. I think what you're saying is we should do our best in helping as much as we can, even if it's a little bit. It's worthwhile to do to help. Even if it's just for one person, it's worthwhile to do something that helps others. As much as we can, as with our own experience and understanding.
She currently last one says making the best meal with the ingredients you have.
Yes.
Using the ingredients you have to make the best meal you can.
That's right. That's good. That's good. There's another saying also. It's to. I can't remember now what that is. To make the best of life. That's something like this. I can't remember the exact quote now.
I may feel totally like I can't help somebody, and I do it, and if I'm doing that, whatever bad feeling I have.
Exactly.
But if I don't feel good, I can't help anybody, I wouldn't help anybody in my
That's right.
state.
That's right. That's right. It goes hand in hand. If you help others, then you yourself can change also, and if you change, then you also help others. So this goes hand in hand. Yes. So we do another verse. We read together. Okay. Whenever I see a person of unpleasant character, overwhelmed by intense negativity and suffering, may I cherish him as something rare, as if I chanced upon a priceless treasure. Riceless treasure, wow. So this treasure has no rice. I think the P is missing. It means priceless. Yes. So whenever you meet somebody, like someone who is of unpleasant character, you should consider that he doesn't have any rice. That's what it means. No, I'm just kidding. No, this means like what happens if we meet someone who's acting really, like, I don't know, angry and just, let's say, arrogant, what do we do? What's our reaction? Yeah?
Be angry towards them.
That's right. We become angry. Then we might become angry toward them. What else?
We either clash or we stonewall.
Okay, we can stonewall or clash.
You can either engage or make yourself
Disappear. This is what I do. Is I try to just leave the scene. I think that's try to avoid the person.
You get a deep breath and use it as an opportunity to practice.
Okay. Well, that's the best, right? Is the what it is the in this case, what does it say to do? It says to cherish that person even more, because why? Because he's suffering. It's like when you have a child, and that, let's say the classic example is if you have a child and then the child is possessed by a ghost or demon. Yeah, maybe in the West we don't really believe in that so much. But this is the classic example. So if our child is possessed by a demon, do we hate our child? Well, he's acting very weird, right? Because he's possessed by a demon. You saw The Exorcist, right? So what happens if our child acts really strange? Do we hate our child? We try to get rid of the child? What do we do? That's right. What do we do? Yeah, that's right. Or we try to help the child. We see that child is suffering from this possession of the demon. It's kind of like that. So when you see someone who is acting very, angry or very badly, then we shouldn't try to see it like, oh, that's a bad person, we'll get away, run away, or strange, what a strange person, but we should try to see that person as being possessed by they are completely under control of their own negative emotions. And we should do as much as we can to help them, to alleviate to get rid of their possession, or how do you say, to get rid of their entanglement with this demon of negative emotions, of hatred, of whatever they might be suffering from. Yeah.
I was going to say, this is really important every time we look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, maybe some of those guys who got the picture in their house, it's the same sort of thing of themselves.
Yes.
Remember before you said
Yeah.
they put their picture?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course. Yes.
Some of those guys who put their own picture in their house, they need a reminder.
Yes.
Some of them just like to look at themselves. But
I think,
people do that for this reason.
You mean because they're themselves kind of like possessed by their own self-centeredness? Is that what you mean, or?
Remembering a happy time?
I mean, every time I look in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
I can see this guy sometimes. Not every time.
Oh, okay. We ourselves can be this way.
This person's ourselves.
We can be, of course. Yeah, we of course can be. And so it's a matter of understanding that person also, we can be like that person for sure. And we can understand that person from that perspective. It's very easy to see. If we can see ourselves in others, then it's very easy to understand others. So that's right. This person, just like myself, they want to be happy and they don't want to suffer. And but they're under the influence of their own negative emotions. So we should care for them, but their actions we shouldn't like, of course. The actions we should hate. It's okay to hate the actions, but we should love the person. Just like the mother would hate the demon for possessing the child, but would love the child. So just to have this kind of idea, it's very helpful. I think whenever we encounter such situations, then if we can just a little bit even have this idea, then it can really kind of release our tight clinging to ourself a little bit. So now we can do a little more meditation, and then together. We finish when? Next time, okay. Sorry. This when do we finish here today? We finish at before 4. Okay. So we do a few minutes meditation together, and then we can finish. So please straighten your back and relax your body, and put your attention on the body.